And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, King Kong of Shinar, Shen, Shani, and Nar, or sensational sand dunes, of scarlet fire, or Zana, Shana, in Arabic or Hebrew. That is kind of root of the sin in English too. Aryak or Arak, king of Elasar. Dalai Lamai, and so Amraphel, king Kong of Shinar, Aryak, king of Elasar, and Dalai Lamai, Kederlamer or Kederlamia. It is precisely the same Lamia of Dalai Lama, or Kederlamer. So this part is Lamer, and so it means Keder or Kadar or Qadar, Gather, or Keder or Katara in Greek, all coming from the murky, muddy, shady, dark, not transparent. And that is the first part. And then Lamer, or Lama, or Lam, or Lamma, or Lamma, or Lemures in as we have it, or Lamdadan in Persian, or Lamma, Lamma, Lama, Lemures in Roman, as well as Lamia in Greek, all coming from the same root, or gatherer, dresser, erector, or lunger, or lumber. On nocturnal Naraka. On nocturnal Naraka is the Kedar, or Zolamat, or darkness, or dark mud. And so all together, the name of the predecessor or the prototype of this devilish piece of filth, the 14th of them, that is this orangutan, or that is collaborating as the false prophet of Revelation, as well as the puppet poop. And this false prophet is going to be tossed into the lake of burning fire along with the Barack Hussein Obama. And so this Dalai Lama is its predecessor is Kedar Lamer, or Lamia, or dark gatherer, dark energy gatherer. These are the black hole worshippers, who is proudly lumped in English, or lingammed, like the Shiva Lingam, or lingam, on Muladrai city of 4 petals. And so Kedar Lamer, the king of where Elam, or Elam, or Alam is, this is the Elam in Jeremiah, or Yarmiyahu in 49:34 to 38, that is going to be crushed. Alam, or Elam, or Elam means scientific axis mundi of anima mundi, or what we call it as the lingam column of Shakti shaft, or Psyche bowl cosmos. Okay, and so Lamia is basically a king of Lower Egypt, or Lower Siddim Valley. They are the same thing, or Shadow Valley. The Battle of Siddim is what we are studying in Genesis 14. That is another survey of the Valley of the Ahrimani ants, or Namls. And so Kedar is the predecessor of Dalai Lama, and the Lama is actually, the Lam is the mantra of the root chakra or the penis vagina chakra, where the Kundalini serpent is turned 3.5 turn around it and is waiting to be released in the Kundalini rise for another 3.5. And so Muladhara city of 4 petals is where the Lam or Lam or Lam or Lamia is, with the seed mantra symbol of Lam, Lam, Lam. Okay, as we had the Ramphan, the star of Ramphan that we read before, that is the Ram, 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 or this Ramarat, that is related to the Manipura mantra or syllable mantra of the Manipura. And so Lam is for 4 petal. And the thing is that these lower petals, these lower cities or the lower mounts of solar plexus, Manipura navel, as well as the root Lam, are actually where you get the Hejet Bel Kube to become recharged by Kon, or conning, or reading, or intaking the sex energy, or the dark matter or dark energy, or Kedar energy, or Qadar energy, or Katara energy. Okay, and so once you receive the Katara energy, that is the discus, the cobra color, the yellow color shown, color of the disc above the head of these Egyptian orangutans or the apes, then you can discharge that cobra or Nas or Keder or Nechosh venom. And for that you need the Deshret of the higher Egypt. That can actually then switch or return into the lower part. One thing about the magic, the way that this thing works is that, like, in a rotary recitation, if you put the Om Mani Padme Hum Om Mani Padme, if you repeat this kind of cyclical things, after a while you don't start from a start to the end, you start from end to a start. And so, like, you forget which one was the first and which one was the last. In the same way, once your cone becomes fully charged, and your bell ball or bell kuba in spelling the fabric in the magical spelling is full, then you can discharge by yakuning, or Kianing in Taoism. And so Lam is where you lump and receive or gather. And that's why Lamias are the most vicious dark gatherers, or or demons of the demut, darkness outside of the heavenly home or Medina. And so that's and the Muladhara city of it is its sign is the 4 petals, or Molud or Mowallad. So the Dalai Lama, or the Kedar Lama, the grandfather of this piece of field, the 14th Dalai Lama, or the first prophet of Book of Revelation, was the king of Elam or Alam. That is another name for what we have as Shivalingam. And this Alam is also known as Alam or Elam. That means basically This is, it means a banner, a skyscraper, obelisk, alarm, axis. And so one way of looking at the words or the hidden parts is that you go up and then you have you can oversee what's going on at the lower part. And so the more lump you get, and the more dark matter you lumped underneath your root chakra, the higher you get. And we are fighting against not flesh and blood, against the dark forces in heavenly places. This is how you lump, and then you go up and up. To do that, you have to suck salt water or scarlet psyche fuel from Mulatra. Once you get it, then you can go up toward whatever you want to do with the crown. And one way of looking at it is that once you gain enough, then you can charge the crown, and once the crown is discharged, then you can again discharge it with the yin moon of the Mulatra. And then that time it kind of changes. That's why it is black and red. And so scientific axis mundi of anima mundi, lingam column of Shaktic shaft, or psyche sukhi ball cosmos, or psychopathic axis along which kundalini tower well of Babel is elongated. We read before about this heliocentric axis, elam or obelisk, skyscraper or banner or Caesartic jinn, tree of Zakum, that God causes his heart issued sadr, toroidal field or energetic manifestation, bosom, breast, chest, sadrahu, to be constricted. And so once the heart is constricted, or the toroidal field is closed from being open, then once it is tightened or stiffened, ziqan, as if he had to climb up or erect to the alam elmi, 7 skies of the hell, or of impressive wilderness. And so yas'adu fi sama, this is the su'ud in not actually toward the heaven, but this is the su'ud toward the hellhole or the impressive wilderness, like hateful hearts of the genius scientists that are working on this type of ilm. This is the ilm, which means knowledge, as well as, or the science, or the knowledge that you gain by going up and then knowing the periphery. That's the kind of root word meaning of the science, that you have to go up in order to examine and know what the elevation that you were, the observation level or the viewpoint that you had. That is the meaning of gaining science or knowledge or alam or alam. And so the end time alam of Jeremiah 49:34 or Isaiah 11:11, this alam that is going to be crushed is the sum total of the entire science that monkey kind has gained in order to go to war with God. And the angels, the angelic army of Christ. And so that is how they once the heart is closed, then all that remains, this sky is in the Vayu void, or this is the Vimanai elevation or dissension in that Vayu void that we already talked. like genius scientists and sodomite Nazis who build up along Plato's pointed axis. That finger of Plato pointing up, that is actually down. That's the alien sign for these orangutans. In order to revenge the just punishments by which God has afflicted their perversions in Sodom and Gomorrah and many other times and many other places. Okay, and so let's go back. And so now we are reading about the kings of the Siddim Valley, or the kings of the 7 major cities of the Canaanite Canyon, that in number 13 Moses was sent for survey. This is another survey of the same valley of Ahrimani, or demonic ants. And so as if he had to climb up and Tidal, or Tadal, or dangling, drooping king of Goyim, Gentiles, herds. That is, again, this is another, again, the Gentiles are not kingless. They are not, as they claim, contrary to what they claim about the liberty and that kind of stuff. To gain that kind of liberty, you have to become a slave of someone that is controlling you. And so you have sexual liberty, but that is in fact another way of being controlled by a king that loves to get your servitude. And all that you're doing is that instead of serving God, your constricted heart and chest gets your mind to become the slave of a monster. That these made Darwinian war or malhame for survival of the fittest and widest, zombie devourer, lamb of the mind meat, with Bera, king of Sodom, Sedom, Sadama, in Persian or in Aramaic or in Arabic. Hurt, blow, psychic shocks. That's the meaning of the Sodom, or Sadame, or damaged. And again, they are not, they don't have sane minds, the homosexuals. And with Birsha, king of Gomorrah. That is not actually Gomorrah, it is Amorah or Amara, or like hip and life building. Amarat is what the root word of Amara is. Amarat is Amara. And so it is the damage, and it is the same root for Amorous too, like the Amorites. And Shinab or Shenab, or the sandy water, king of Adma, or demi ground, or the garden, at the lower side of the garden, the bottom side. And so, or the blown blood, damn, that's what it means. Or dummy demon is part of the Dhamma of Adama, is coming from that, or the base blood. And Shem Eber, or Sham Aber, and so Shum or Sham, or proud, Vayu Paf is what it means, like literally Sham in English, or the proud, also in Arabic, in Persian. That is part of the Shem Eber. And for the Eber we go to Abir or Aber, and that is for Abre, or super wing, a strong air flying cloud. Abre or Abar, which means big or extremely big, or a strong wind. These are all what are the applications of Eber or Aber. King of Anahata chakra, and so Shem Eber together means basically is part of the Zeboim. King of Zeboim or Zabi or Hiran, that we have it, or the Mount Gazelle deer antelope. Okay, but that is for the heart chakra or the Anahata chakra of the Haridra or Hidrit heart. Harut is where the Harut is. Again, these people love the Harut, and that's where the Enki reigns upon these people of Shem Eber. And the king of Bela or Bal or devourer, and so this is another name of Bal or Bal-Idan, and which is Zoar or Zur or Zar or Zero in English, or Zarar in Zarar or Tzar, Za'ar. And so this means belittled and insignificant throat. Okay, and which is in Zohar. All these were joined or habared together in Omega Audiyat valley of Siddim. And so this is the battle of the Siddim, and in this valley is mentioned also in 1317. We already covered it. Siddim means Siddim or Soda or Savvad or Sadhu. That's where the Sadhus come, or Sayyid, where the masters are like Siddhartha. Sid or Siddim comes from there, or Sade, which means plain, or Sadad or Sadad. And so in English we call it shadow filled or dark film or Sadad or Sade, plain. That is for the Persian Hebrew part and Arabic Hebrew part, and then we have all together the use in English, Sanskrit, Arabic, Hebrew, Persian. And so it means flat and plain page of burnt, blackened, and acidized saints. For Sayyid, we have the saints or the masters. And we have two types of saints, the Manamonic saints and the Somai saints of Galilee Garden, which is the hairy, salty sea or Melh, that we have it. Melh means the salty city, and so together in Omega Valley of Siddim, which is the Melh, which is this shadow that is being gathered, or this Keder, Qadr, Qazar, or Kethara is Melh or Melhon, like Amlah, or like the sediments, or the dark, murky sediment or salty. And so that we have it as this is where the Ojaj or Judge or Agagites are gathering. This is the basically all of these are what we call them as the scarlet Zena or Shinari sand-dunes. These are the different levels of this Shinari sand-dune or Shambhala shaft, or the pyramid of primates of Barack Babun Obama. And so 12 years they served Dalai Lamai Keder Lamer, or darkness Lamiar, or Kether, darkness, Sitter, or Lumber, or Lumper, lumping, gathering, Lamiaing of dark matter and dark energy. And down the line they have made their means or asbab or tool or the Durga dragonic weapon of dark matter, dark energy, garbage for maximizing the energy that they can gain in order to go to war with God. And in the 13th year they rebelled, Tamarrud. In the 14th year came Kedar-Lamer, or the darkness, Lamia, the Lamia of the darkness, or the Dalai Lama, the predecessor of Dalai Lama, and the kings of the lower Egypt that were with him, and Esmod the Raphaims, or Rafi Rufis. These are the Rufi ones in Ashtaroth. And so Ashtaroth Qarnain, or Karnaim. And so as for the Ashtaroth name, I'm just one by one opening all of these. This is the main duty of the witness, to let the people know with proper meanings of these ones, these names. That's what the language is. And so and all of these namings are coming from the Galilee garden, and so the scholars that have not been there have no idea about their opinions about this, the translations that they have made. And so Ashtaroth Karnain means Ashtaroth, and so we call it Ashtaroth, or we call it Ishtar in English, or we call it in Persian and Avesta or Sanskrit as Ajdar or Aji. And it means Ajdar means dragon, the Chinese type of dragon that is called as Ajdar. It is also comes into English, becomes eight or Ajdar. That precisely it is part of what we call it as eight or Aj, Ajdar, or Hasht in Persian. Hasht means eight, and aged, and so altogether Ashtaroth becomes Ashtotara. And so in the Sanskrit we call it as the Ashtotara Shatanama or Satanama or Sadnama. And so here we have the Satan name plus the Ashtorata, or vice versa. And so how it works is that Satanama means sad. In one way of looking at the Satan's name is Sadnam, or the 100 names, or the ones that has the Shitian, or the Shi energy, the super energy of the Tian, or the Tin, or clay, or the they call it heavenly clay, but in fact hellish clay. And so this part is the Satnam, and then this one is the Ashtotara, and all together or eight, and so together 8 plus 100 becomes 108, and that's how we get the H, or the Eight, or the 8th kingdom. And so 8th kingdom plus the 100 kingdom, and so the 100 the base 100. The Ashtaroth Shatanama is the 108 names that always the Hari Helions, or the 108 mantras that Hari Helions give to different rots in their hellhole. The funky false gods that the Gentile junks are worshipping. And so Ashtarata Shatanama is how, in fact, one way of looking at it is that it is the Washington Monument plus the Liberty Lady's vagina, or the Shiva Lingam plus the Shaktic vagina. And so Barack Hussein Obama's penis or lump or backbone, or Dadichik dildo, or Osirisian Horisi dildo plus Isis or Ishtar or Ashtorati vagina of Liberty Lady or the Satan. And so Bel, husband, boy, dildo plus the Shakti, Kali, Khali, empty, she, or the straw, and then the energy that she gives to her Buddha beast, Buddha Abudan. And so to Buddha Abudan and then the Satan lady, they go together. And so one is the 100 and the other is the 8, or Aisht or Hasht. Also we call it as Ajdar, or dragon type, Ishtar. And so in Avestan language we call the Ashtarata or Ishtar as Aji Dahak. That is literally meaning, is the meaning of the Ajdar, or Aji Dahak is the name of Satan, or the adversary of the Asuras, or the good forces like Michael, an angel, and Christ, or Imam Mahdi. And so Aji Dahak is the name of Ashtarata Satanama, or like what we call it as Aji Dahak, or Durga dragon Zahak. And then we have it also as the Ishtar, or Oshtor, Ashtarat, that is two-humped camel, plus Qarnain, and Qarnain means the double horn, or Qarn, or Qorn, or horn, Qarnain. And so it means double-horned dragon. And so the double horned dragon, or 2 times 8 equal to 16 Shodashi Sadasai Mitra, that is Ashta Dikpaka. Ashta Dikpaka. That is how we get the 16 Shodashi. That is for the Ashtarat Karnain. And so Kedar Lamer and then the rest of the monsters of the Lower Egypt, they attack to the Higher Egypt's Raphaimi roofs in Ashtarata Karanain, or it is for the 3rd chakra, or the 2-petal 3rd eye. That's where we have the Karanain, or the 2-petal city of the 3rd eye and throat and the crown, or the Higher Egypt. The Zuzims, or the Zuze, or the screaming in Ham, Hom, Hammam, or Hamim, or hot bass is what it means. Hum, or hot bass, or the hot paste, hot dark matter. And emims, or ima, or terror gazes. That's where the imim, or emims comes. Ima means signaling, signing, or gazing. In Ajna 2 petali kriyatim, or Qarratain, of Shiva, Shave, Shav, Shova, Su, Sayyat, or Shivalaya, or Zavalaya. Okay, and so the name of the Shiva is mentioned in Holy Bible and as well as Holy Quran. And What the hell this Satan means is Shiva is means Shave 7740 or 7722 and 23 Shav. Although the way that Hebrew Strongs are written, I can say deliberately, it is made in a way that is not close to Shiva, but it is Sua. The Hebrew pronunciation is Shova or Shiva or Shua. Shua. That is what we have it in Arabic as Su. That's the name of the adversary of entire mankind, even the victims and the worshippers or the Gentile junks that are worshipping the dildo of him. This Barack Obama, or Sayyat, or the Ramarat, also we call it. And so Saye in Persian means shadow. Sayyat, anything filthy is related to this Shiva. Su, Sayyat, Sayyat, Shiva, Shove. This Shova, or in Hebrew strong 7722 or 7723 means destruction. Or demolition, or anything that is demolished. Shiva, and also we have from the same family, PIE family, PIE root, Shivalaya, like Zivalaya. That this S becomes turns into Z also, and so becomes Zev. Like later it becomes div or devil or devi or Zeus or Diaus. Diaus or Zeus are actually coming from the same root. Means Ziv, Div, Divi, Zivi, or Zaval or Zivalaya. Zaval means annihilation. Cremation, destruction, emptiness, desolation, vanity, and futility. These are all the package of Shiva, Ziva, Zeus, or Shiva, Diva, Zeus, or Devus, Deus. This S can become Z and becomes this V is basically remains in the V or Ye part, and so it becomes Div in Avestan language, or devil in English language. Diva or devil, or Diavus, Deus, Zeus. This is Ziva. Also it is can be pronounced. And so there are many verses in Holy Quran that calls this piece of filth as Sayyat or Su or Sayyat or Su, we call it Sov, Shov. And so whose valley of grief and sorrow is the counterval, equal, discrete, even opposite to the messianic torture temper of Allahi love life. That is why full followers of Mithraic, Mahrik love, or sham fire, or the false LGBT love of Mother Shiva, or Mother Ziva, or Zu, or Shiva, Sova, have been already sued, or civiled, or zivar, or zivar, ziab in Arabic, because siab. What is as the su in English language, sewing, tailoring, is su is coming from civil, or the Sanskrit civil, or Siyab. Siyab means sewing. So tailor, beautified in they are their garment or in hell. The people of Shiva or Ziva, Diavos or Shova, Shova or Su, the people of the hell are covered with su'a or destruction, or wrapped or sewed with grief, gloomy garments or sarabil of scorching choices. One way of looking, as we will read later on, although we have read to some extent, these are the people that sew like the 5,000 shekel armor of the Yogi Jalut or Goliath is from the Jolly water, or that is the Gather water, or the Malh water, is the energy that they tantra or they tantric or they entwine around themselves. And so although their electromagnetic fields are very fleshy and very weighty, but that is in fact what Holy Bible, Holy Quran or Avesta, we all, or even in their own language, we call it as Su'a, Shova, Shiva, Shava. That means destruction, annihilation, or demolition, or destructive dark energy that gives you power, but again, you're not gonna enjoy having that around yourself once you are wrapped in that hellish swamp. You want the love light to detox you or get it away from you. That is the Hama or Ham, or the black or the Ham, or the acid bath, or the dark water, or the hot bath, hot acid bath that is around you. And so that is part of the sewing, that some people call it as the Shiva, as the sewer. And so like Shiva is like the power factory that gets its heavy gurus to be sewed or armored, as Christ gives them camel wool, or the garment of faith, or lebas of taqwa, or love life and love light. The Shiva gives, Barack Hussein Obama gives to his victims the energy. Sew them with flesh or flesh or dark matter or dark energy that can be lumped from different parts, but in this part from Muladrai, city of 4 petals. And so the garments of cobra copper or gold or qi or raw Muladrai iron, like that of Guru Goliath. And then Krishna crushing creatures or cursed scratchers, Khorites, Khori, Kharash, Kharashes, piggy harassant yin moons, Khoris, we call them sometimes the corrosion that can cause corrosion. In their Mount Seir, So'ar, that is mentioned also. This mount is mentioned, Mount Seir, mentioned in Holy Quran as Seir, So'ar. inferno of Rama rabbis, Rama rots with rabies, the dog disease, or the Christian scabies, or Shaktic madness. That is where the hairy scapegoats are called Sha'ari, Sha'ir, or Sha'ir, this part. Abode of bristling frenzy, or Shararat, with hair-raising flocks. We will talk about this later on. And so Mount Seir is in fact the Mount Seir, and Azab Seir is one of the severe punishments of hell, are called Seir. But again, these people just enjoy in their psychosis to just get as much as possible smeared into their psyche. Under the Isahi bird nest, or flying fortress of Allah, or Qudsi Allah Paran, or Holy El Paran, Qudsi El Godly Paran, or the flying, pranaying, parveening, paradisiac Salam city, or flying, hovering, heavenly city above the hellhole, which is above the Vinepressy wilderness, or Krishna Caliphate, or Midbar, or Batek backyard of Dobar, of the village Deborahs, or the bees of the Beelzebub, bees of the wilderness. And they returned, and they came to surface of the Dead Sea, or the Hades, or Malakuti membrane Makon, that is under Sultan Mubin, another name of Christ in Holy Quran, or Sultan Nasir, Nazarati Sultan, or the Sultan, or the king of reasoning and understanding and logic and love, king of absolute logic and reasoning, or distinguishing between falsehood and holy truth, or Isaki, or Ishaqi, Hagios, or holiness. And so that is under Sultani sovereignty of King Malek. King Malek is the owner of the hell, or is another name of Christ, or the master of the hell is Malek, Malik is the name of the Christ. Of Maut, or the king of the Maut, or the Dead Sea. Second, this Isa Messiah, Malek, master of 4377, opened and placed Moon Book, or Waza al-Kitab of love life, because the one that governs the love life is actually governing the Maut, or death, because whoever is excluded from life will end up in this, like the victims of Dalai Lamia Lama, lumber of this, and and came to where all of this is the explanation of Ein Mishpat, or eye, Ein, or a spring, or eye of mishpat or shafa'at or shafat or sophia or speaking. I spring of speaking, or la'l lab, or laliaing mouse, or I of sophiaing or giving wisdom and bayanat or mobina or differentiation, understanding, clarification. Isahi, spring of wisdom, judgment, intercession of Allah. That is where God words or words and enters, the love enters into our egotistical jungle, that the survival of the fittest with the more power, that is Shiva or Suva or Sayyat or Shova, Sud, around the individuals, makes them more powerful in that jungle. And that eye of shafa'at, ain of shafa'at, that there are many, we will look at the other names of that ain of shafa'at, or the BDCTM bridge of talking with the eternity, is how that's what Christ says, I am the light of the world. That's where he gets it from Allah and then transfuse it into the jungle, so that we don't just collapse into absolute chaos that UN of the Antichrist is bringing with garbage human rights organizations that it has, with a bunch of lies and incapabilities of defending the true human right. After all, it's getting money from States and China. How can how can that kind of organization do something while both of these governments are constantly in war and massacring people and demolishing churches or turning them into gay clubs? Then you can imagine what kind of United Nations we have. that is just a lollipop for some people to think that they are there is a justice, but the justice only comes from ain of shafa'at, or wisdom, or intercession, or judgment by the by God and through His book of judgment. The rest is just garbage. The rest quoting the hate and injustice and tyranny. Who is a holy Quds or Kodesh, and so Ain of Shafa'at, that is a holy Kodesh. This plane of double-edged sword of Allah is where Sheba had come out in 2742 of the Parvatic pit to present herself to her husband Salamona, or Sita came into Salamona, and while Salamona was in Ravanahi, a spring of Ruh and Ravan, or singing, a spring of Shafa'at, Mishfat, Shafi'a, speaking. Again, Ravan means run, or running, or rivering, and singing. And for these observed ants of Achiman, or Ishtarat Qarnain, or Ajdahak, or Ajdar Dahak, Ajdar Zahak, talking is not supposed to happen. You have to shut up, and if you talk, you are a hate speaker. Okay, we are a bunch of photophobic, dead particles that we are supposed to go back into nirvana. And so if someone talks, then it's perturbing the solitude of these orangutans in meditation. That's what they want. And so this plane boundary of the two seas is also where fallen Hermes taught Ganesha or the Hupu or the Ibis or Haridra or Harut, toppled Baruna of the salty sea, or fire mansion of mortal mud, Marut, or the little green mans of the emerald color of Emerald, Meraldi or Mordad, Mordadi or Maritrai, or Marit, Maritra, Marut is coming, or Ifrit Aphrodite has come to his lovely Salamona at the Isahi presence of Logasi Sultan Mubin. Christ, once when Salamona was at the back of the Ravana's fortress of God. So that Christ the Karimi, logic, wisdom, judgment, intercession, Shafat, Safa, Sophia, this is another name of the Ain Mishfat, or Mantaqat Tair, or the Mantiq or Mantaqat, or the zone of birds, or the entry into the bird nest, or the eye entry, or the spring of speaking. And Mantiq, part of it is speaking. Or when you have a logic, then you can say something that makes sense. Otherwise, it's just garbage. And so, Shafat, Shafa'at, and Sophia are coming together. That's where also we have it in 3944 as Shafa'at, where the intercession or the healing comes. The speaking is the healing, but again, this healing is hurting the orangutans in silence and meditation or masturbation. And then they say from the meditation comes language, but that is garbage. And that ecstasy is just is not ecstasy. That is absolute surrenderance to this, and would prevent his Salamona, Mastra, to kill him, to kill the Hermes, Hermes elephant, or Hermes ibis, Hupu. It is an act of desperation when these Zionist zombies, Anarchy ants, blind bats, Buddhic blacksmiths, and Kabbalistic King Kongs of Amazon jungle will come out of their Rama rat hole and retreat back from their Galilee Gardenic fight to this plane of love light. That's why she comes in the surrenderance. And smote all the Sidim, Sadu, Shadoic, Savat, Sodaic, Sade, or the plain, black chief plain field film of the Amalekites, or Amalek, or Amalek, or Amalat, or the labor builders, mason masters, Caesardic, Sadu, Aswads, the dark masters. Also, even so many times when you are putting on dark clothes, you are called as Sayyid in Arabic too. If you are a scholar, or if you have carrying a certain spiritual knowledge in yourself. Sade, Sadu, black chief playing field of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites with nafs of al-Ammare. This Amorites comes from Amores, or the Ammarats, or the Ammaras, and so nafs al-Ammar. These are all working for Su or Shova, or Shiva, or what we call it in Hebrew. The name of the Shiva in Hebrew is Shova, or Su or Sayyad. This is the same place that it is talking about Sayyad too. And so Amorites are basically the ones that command, their ego commands them to do anal affairs, androgynous affairs, or any kind of myriads of types of the sexual malfunctions that they have, that dwell in Chatzatson Tamar, Chatzatson Tamar, or Chatzat, or Jazat, and so we call it Jozazan, or Jazza, or Jadat, or Jada, and so this part is for the Chatzat, and then Tamar, or Tamar, or dates, and so it means Jozaz, or cut off, gravels, and dates. That is for the cut off parts, or the peeled off and dumped down dungs, dates, gravels, gemstones into hellfire, or the wine press. They enjoy in the hellhole to call themselves Chatzat, or the Jazzat, or the cut off stones from the Manipurai navel, or the dates, or the gravels, or the aggregates that are, or the gemstones, what they call it, or the anvil particles that are chatzons, are cut off, are engraved, which is also called Engezi, or Engedi, and it means Ein Jadi, or in Iranian folklore means we call it Dor Kolash Angazi. This Angazi in Persian comes from Engedi in Hebrew, or Hebrew comes from in Persian together, which means Ein, or eye, or Ein, or spring of Jedi, or Jedis in Hollywoodian movies of the Antichrist, or the Star Wars, or Jadi, or Jedi, or young guru goats, or Jedi, 2 Chronicle 2:22, or Jedi, or Jaddi, or Veti Jadus in Sanskrit, means the scientists, or magicians. In Persian we call them Jadugar, or magicians. That is another name of the goats, is magicians, or jadus in Sanskrit. And so Armageddon is the war between Christ and Har, or mountain of jadus, or jedis, or jedis of a Star Wars. And so those jedis that have made their NASA, their LHCs, their Take Toys F-35s that Erdogan is barking to buy or not to buy, although it doesn't matter, because his army, as well as the American army, the Turkish army, as well as the Xi Jinping Chinese army, are all working for Barack Hussein Obama, the Antichrist, or bin Salman, the retard chimpanzee in Saudi Arabia, all of their armies, whether they like it or not, they are working for the Dajjal. And so their F-16s, F-15s, all of those things are Jedi made, or Jaddu made, or the magic made. Again, the people of 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago, they were looking at our tech toys as jadus. If you see those things in a vision on mushroom, then you say, what the hell is this? Then you say, this is magician made. And so Harmageddon is the war between God and the ape that is armed with Merkaba tanks, the Israeli Iron Dome defense system, Patriot missiles, drones, laser guided bombs, mother of all bombs, all the tech toys that these space cowboys of Pentagon are carrying under the pretext and the umbrella of national safety and security, but or the European Union, all the armies basically that are serving the global hegemony of this homosexual King Kong of the jungle. Anyway, so Engadi means En Jedis or En Jadus or En Jadugars. And so Dor Kolash Engazi is also what we use in Persian. And so, and there went out the king of Sodom, or damaged, or Sadamat, and the King Kong of the Gomorrahs, or Omarat, or Amarats. It doesn't have any G, go, or it is in fact Ain, E, Emorat, Emora, or Amarat, or the mason building, the masons, the builders, or the tenants of the farm, of the field, and the King Kong of Adama, or the ground, and the King Kong of the Zeboims, or the Zabis, or the Haridrai, Enki Tot, Hermes, and the King Kong of Bela, or Baal, or devourer. The same is for the Zoar, or Zar, or Za'ar. And they joined battle, or Malhame, with them in the valley or Amaq of Sidim, in the valley of Soda, or Aswad, or Soda, or Sawat, or the dark mountains. We have different look at the different types of the minerals that we have. We call it shadow, Sidim in English, shadow or shade, Sod, Sawat, Sadim, they're all coming from the same meaning. Of dark scabies, the hellhole. With who? With predecessor of Dalai Lama, or Kedar Lamai, or Kedar, Gezer, Lamir, Lamia, Lamiar. The Lamias that are known in the myths, in the Greek, in the Roman time, the Lamias are in fact the monsters that are working for Dalai Lamas. Now we have the 14th one of them. I don't know the number of this Kedar Lamir thing, but it is a prototype of this filthy sack of scum that is in the yellow golden calf color that we read. It looks pleasing to the eye, but from under it is full of qadr, or keder, or darkness, or murky dark matter. The King Kong of Elam, or Alam, or Elam, lingam, banner of Vaticanian, White House of Hare Krishna, or phallus of Osiris. And with Tadal kingdom, or drooped kingdom of Goyim, or herds, or Goyim, or the Govs, is what they were called, the cows, the cattles, and Amraphel, or Swagger Puff Fog Amraphel, King Kong of Narakai Sanduns, or Shinar, King Kong of Shani and Nar, or Shen Sandun Nar, the energetic Sanduns, energy Sanduns, and Ariok, or Arak, King Kong of Elazar, or Hazelnut. 4 King Kongs, or 4 kings against 5 kings. These are basically a bunch of Rama rats that are fighting inside against each other in that rattle. When the Reagan says that our differences worldwide would vanish, this is the difference that they had, and now they are united after the plenty of the wars that they had, the world wars or the local wars in the Siddim Valley, on the physical plane, on the metaphysical plane altogether. Now all of these aliens have made their ahzab, or their coalition, to go to war with God. And the valley omega of Siddim, or Sadu, or shadow shade of darkest cabbies, or the Vayuvayphora of Ferir, or Ferrer in Greek, was full of air-gravy boreholes. That's why we have the smoke coming there. Be'er, or Kibor Hatavi, Qabr Tahwa, of of ministerial mud, or red tar, or heated sukhi paste of pottery, or khamir, khom, or homer, or hamd, hamimd, khamamd, hammamd, warm and heated bitumen is another name of the pottery paste. Of sundry pillars, we call them also as hot baths, or acid ashrams, or dough, fermented yeast, vampire food. That's what these monsters, again, they don't drink the physical blood, they drink the metaphysical kundalini energy, or kundalini clay, or burnt fuel, or yoqad yaqad Waqud, Narul Waqud, or the burnt fuel is what they eat. The energetic leftovers of a mind wave that the carrier of that mind machine has passed away, and has died, and the dampened wave is what, like a spaghetti, these monsters we call it sakat, or shikuts, or shi in Torah as abomination, where the humans are not supposed to eat from what these Yugi monsters, or sadhus of Siddim Shadow Valley eat. False form Zabad, or psychic scum, holy smoke, or kafnos, or jaff, or jof, jofa in Arabic, kaf in Persian, kafnos in Greek, are coming together. And the King Kongs of the Sodom, damage and Amarat, and the Mason, damaged ones, and then the Masonic ones, the Masoners, which were aviated or Sawad or Mawad or Suad or Saib, hung from erected or Ablogatian tower, or Sarh is the Tian tower, or the obvious Tian tower that they have erected. From the erected Tian tower, the pineal glands that were rooted upon the spider strings, or akabish or ankabut, that we already read the verse for it, of 666 sensory etzabas or aspat or sababats in Merkaba meditation. Etzba or sababat and asba also means the thumb finger or the fingers. That's 666 sensory finger that they have spread, and that's how they hang from the spider web. They fled and subsided and fluctuated and vibrated or isolated or nus or navasant in Arabic or in Persian, inas, nust or navasant, or fluctuated from their delta wavy strings. And so in their war is not a physical war, their war is a metaphysical war, and in that metaphysical war, the ones that hold their place, they win. But if you fluctuate like the son of Noah, once you go up in those Shinari mountains, or those energetic peaks of delta brainwave, or deep DMT dream, or deep hibernation, in a level that many of the surface waves or tides or tryptamine tides, you don't feel them. They don't distract you from concentration and focusing and tapering your pineal, your third eye gazing into nothingness. That's how the samadhic psychopaths are sticking to the Dead Sea. And so the lower their brain waves, the frequency of the brain waves comes, the heavier they are. And so in their war, in the spiritual war that they have, if someone navasan or wobbles, someone that is attaching itself into what they call it nowadays as the Higgs field or the Ziggs field or the sex field, or the sex field, or the spider string or akabish, ankabut field, then they're gonna stay there stable, okay? But if you cannot stay there and stick to that thing stable, then you fall into what? Into the bitumen boreholes or Gibor Hadavis, or what we call them in the Sidim Valley. And the valley of the Sidim was full of bitumen boreholes, or the Hamim boreholes. The Hamim that we have, or the Hammam, or Hama ol Masnoon, Omani Padma home. And so when you reach to the home, and then you stay there, but if you come out of it, then you fall into a bigger home, and then that's how the home gets you inside, or the hot bath, acid bath takes you in. Asura 18 verse, I think, verse 80, 87 or 85, I think 85, was talking about anal hameat. That is the hameat, or the hamim, or the ham, or the warm paste, or the warm bitumen That's the borehole that it comes. Again, this is this bitumen is not, again, this is the material that is good for in pottery paste for making a pot, or the psychic sack of different sephirots and the lines all together, an individual. But again, they use it for not those purposes. That's why they are like parasitic users and eaters of the paste, or the abomination. Then we call it kundalini clay. And fell or neffel there, and so they fluctuated, and then they fall from the spider web or the Higgs 6 field, which is where Pharaoh and his army of Advaita apes have been neffelled when they were chasing Moses and his pearly people. That is called Darakol Asfal. That is, they fall into where? To Ainun Hama'at, or a spring of dark mud, from which the sun comes up, and from which the shemesh comes up, or the antelope, the shamanic antelope also comes out of it, or the beast of the bottomless pit, the deep earth. And so the Pharaoh was not drowned in the Red Sea. The Pharaoh was drowned in the Sex Sea of the underworld, in those bitumen boreholes, or Gibor Hatavi air graves, and fell there, which is Qabr Tahwa, graves of air of desire, which is where Pharaoh, and so they have been alien abducted, the Moses and his pearly people, through a teleportation duct of loophole time-space continuum that messianic mothership, or Christ Karimi UFO disk, has opened up for them through the Muladrai menstruation, or a scarlet soil of Adama, or Hamona, or Humana, or Zaman, Zamuna, or Hammonites, Zamonites, Zaman, Zamin, Zaman in Hebrew, and Zamin, which means time and space, or ground, and time, temporal time. And so the loophole, the teleportation that has been done, is by the that six hot Hamim solar temple, or that Hamim dark mob needs the chrismation cry from Christ the Karim, cup, or the mercy of Allah, in order to be denuclearized, or in order to be detoxed, or in order to cool down. That's the coolant in the machine. That we will read the verses that are related directly to that. That is the blessing of Allah, that Christ gets it and then pours it upon the pottery pit. Once that is poured, then the melted hellfire, or the melted bitumen, or the air graves of the bottomless pit, or the Vayu void, becomes consolidated. And then the Moses and the people, the humans, his humans, his tribe, they pass like a stairway. In a physical metaphor for this, that it is like a stairway that they go right above a void, and then they, through that teleportation, by the Turul Ayman, or by the Baladul Amin, God takes them with the light. Wherever the light of God is shined and shed down, that part of the darkness becomes stable, and that's how they go into that back loop or teleportation. And so in a physical way, you see them disappearing from this side of the sea, materialistic sea, and then they suddenly appear from the other side. They have not crossed the Red Sea. Opening of the Red Sea is just a joke in front of opening the mega Galilee Sea. And God actually opens that Galilee and gets them to go there. We will read another the same thing happening to Joshua and then the Israelite masters that are carrying the Ark of Covenant, and their sandals are nataqad, or taken off from the ground. God takes them because Christ the Karim carousel is hovering above it, and then the love light grabs them, abducts them, the real alien abduction. That's how the moon book, or the book of life in Revelation 20 verse 12, is going to take his people into the heaven, and then the rest are just going. And so that ray of rahmat, or the radiance, or the hair of carousel countenance, is going takes these people, carry them to the other side, right on top of the Darakul Asfal of Surah 20 verse 77. Takes them there and then puts them back on the materialistic material world. All of their three parts, their soul particle, their zorre, their nataf, their alaq, and their mozghe, all together are being carried mercifully to there. And once that happens, then God just let that Chrismat and pathway to melt away back into the Hamim or Hamim or Hama ul Masnun or Hama'at Ainun Hama'atan, or the dark murky clay. And once that happens, then the Buddha beast, or his army of yogi orangutans, they all fall into the void. As simple as that. They all fall into the bitumen bores of the Sidim Valley. Moses and the 600,000 people, they have gone through a loophole into the Sidim Valley, and many of those people have never had the shamanic encounter, but they actually see. That's why they have seen something that for us is just like a mist, and but they have been through it, they have lived into it, and in that realm, that's why that's why they keep it there in their tribes, and some of them became the synagogues of the Satan, because they have witnessed the power of the Ravana, or the power of the Mahishasura, Mahishasura. That is awesome. And once you see that, then you know that you can never overcome that merciful power, that love, with bunch of armies of slaves, Chinese slaves of Xi Jinping and Clintons and Bushes and Barack Obama and his therapeutic toy. I'm talking about the armies, ape armies and guru armies that are working for Antichrist, as well as the tech toys that he has, and the Jadus or Majidons or Engages or Enjedis, or Jedis that are working for him. We call those Jedis also as Bodhisattvas or Dejets. You have no chance. Anyway, and so Moses have passed with his people through that channel. They crossed the Sidim Valley, or the Shadow Valley, and then they appeared in the material world at the other side of the Red Sea, the material world. سرود مولادهای menstruation of red scarlet sea or ninhursagi emra'at. Yes, that vagina void, vayu void, is basically where the Gaia gap, they cross over the gap of Gaelic mind, manhole. That they and so in their and so some of them, they had fluctuations, they lost their grip to the 64 grid. This is this Higgs field, or the 6 field, is what we call it as what is seen in the Sri Yantra machine of these orangutans. And all of their tectoys is how Pharaoh is trying to somehow make that field stable. That's why I call it the God particle, so that he can get his army to attack to the heaven in a more stabilized way, or his UFOs to attack there. And so, like, after they had the wobbling, and then their deep meditation is distracted, and then they fell down, and so we continue to read that, and they that remained in delta wave meditation fled and wobbled and navasand to the mountain cities, to the 7 mole monkey mountain cities of Canaanite Canyon by the sand dune seashore of Galilee Garden, Jordan. Or they fled away. And so this fleeing away is not by walking, they fled away, or their UFOs, their Vimanas, their Merkaba fields fled away from the reach of Dalai Lama or Kedar Lamer and the army of the lower Egypt that has attacked to the higher Egypt, forking against the 5 king in that jungle. Again, that is the jungle of the power. That is the jungle of Darwinists and insecurity and survival of the fittest. The fittest, if you want to become more suitable and fitted to that dynamics of that realm of 6 Higgs boson, 6 field, or the sex field, or the spider ankabut akabishi field of 64 tetrahedron grid that Joshua also passes in addition to Moses. We will look at it in Joshua, I think, chapter 4 and 3. The survival of the fittest happens when you are heavier, and the Shiva or Shova has soothed you with heavier energetic shields. The heavier is your energy shield, the bigger your UFO becomes, or your Merkaba becomes, and so you don't feel the fluctuations and the waves. But again, this is a mirage. The bigger your carrier becomes, the more you are stuck inside that thing, and so it is easier actually for God to terminate your program. That's the beautiful part of the extermination of entire Yugi population. All the hippie orangutans in the hot Yuga and cold Yuga studios in California and other places, meanwhile that the government is bombing the soldiers of President Bashar al-Assad that are defending their sovereign country and government against France and Germany and English intervention, as that are backing actually the orangutans in Pentagon. all of them, their kids, their children will be exterminated in a just manner, again, because God is a jealous God. 4 generations after, they were going to be affected. And it's the same thing. If the fathers and the grandfathers are monsters and apartheid monsters, then that's going to come upon their children. Their children become yogis or the hippies, or bunch of scientists, Jedis, thinking about Mars mission, but they don't know that they have lost their contact to their churches. Right in front of their eyes, their churches are turning into gay clubs, and they don't consider it as a national security issue. For them, bunch of fake Allahu Akbaring people, those are like the terrorists. Again, the propaganda of the Antichrist has brainwashed all of them. The Muslims are not their problem of their country, or the Christians. The problem is the hypocrisy among the fake Christians and Muslims in their countries. And so they wobbled, and and so this wobbling, like some of them actually, this war is happening at the Abraham time, but they can easily go to where? To India. This flooding, like their vimanas go somewhere, and then they end up over there. Forget about the physical. This is another way of running away to the mount cities by the seashore. And they, Dalai Lama که در لامر or Lamia, Dalai Lamia Katara or Qadar, Gather, took all the goods, tents and booties of Sodom and Emarat, not Gomorrah, or Emarat, or the damaged and Masonic mansion. And so what are the tents and booties? And all their cheese-like smelling mushrooms or foods. What are the foods? They are not looking for the ordinary food. They are looking for another type of food. That food is the food that they've been using for their war. Mushroom bread cakes, or cheese smelling, the fungi that has a cheesy smell, and went their way. Let us remember how precious it is on those days to find and cultivate cubensis mushroom. Again, they didn't have the artificial mushroom cultivation that end time Sodom and Egypt does. And so those times, and also they didn't have a bunch of cows all the time around themselves that they poop, and then the Taoist and Yugi apes pray for that piece of excrement, that it might grow bunch of mushrooms so that they can pick the mushrooms and then they eat it. Also, they are disconnect from the mushroom dropper, the Christ the Karim, and that does it in ceremonies, and 5,000 people are fed with healthy mushroom, halal mushroom. And so what do they do? What do you do in that kind of situation? Once you attack and an army is fled away, then you go after the foods. And that's the food that they've been looking, as well as the goods. Also for the goods, if you get to in these yogis, if you get to one of them, then you can gain the toroidal field or the electromagnetic field or the Merkaba of that person. You devour it. This is another way of eating. You just don't eat here. They are vegetarian on this dimension, on the surface earth, some of these yogis, but on the other part, they like a spaghetti, they drink the sperm or the nataf of a person. They become the vampires, the soul eaters, and so they eat an electromagnetic waves energy, or the cobra copper at the top head of the Egyptian monsters. In the war between the survival of the fittest apes in that jungle, they parasitically devour what they have jazzat or cut from the Manipurai navel. That's where the mine is. Go there and take as much as you can. And so like they eat those different forms of the cobra, copper, or the silver, or the iron, or whatever. And so, and went their way. Let us remember how precious we read this. Proofs such as Yunasahi anger for losing the gourd wine of Cubensis, or Shajaratul Yaqtin, or cotton with cotton carpet of white mycelium mesh underneath it, or healing of Yaqub or Job of 3842, that receives the healing of the water that washes his blinded or salted eyes with a brook from the tree of life that comes from Christ, or healing of trunk shaking Mother Maria that gets the due dating drops to drop from there, and so that she can eat it and then forget the pain of her pregnancy. And the love lightful water word that is coming through these channels shows that how precious is the food. And also Hindu worship of cow and its cow dung that produces poisonous soma for them would show us that spoiling the battle tents of drowned shamans. Like 1 Samuel 17:53, we will look at the fight between David and 170 centimeter with 60 kilogram weight of 70 kilogram vegetarian weight of Yogi Jalut. Goliath is an example that we will look at it. And so spoiling the battle tent of the drowned shamans has been done for reaching to their mushroom stash. We can see that father of David give him 10 blessed breads or cubensis cakes, and a special gift of 10 high quality fresh cheese smelling fungi, smell bags. If you read it in 1 Samuel 17 and 18, you see that it has a smell of the cheese. What kind of bread has the smell of the cheese? It is a fungi bread of manamunic liver of love lamb. This is a halal bread. To give it to the Hezbollahi head or Sar or Ser or Surios or Kurios of Yugi fighting camp of Israeli shamans, Shekinah shamans. Sufis are fighting against the Yogis. We can see that after Felishti or Falsi or Feleshi Yogis with cobra coppery scars or palasht were defeated and fled to Gotama of Ekron or Akran or Agar. Okay, Arabic or Hebrew means barren, stung, bitter, cushion, rear, Agar. That's the root word for the Agar. And an example of it is Agarab, which means the scorpion. We call it also as Kajdim or Kastim, and so or Kajdom. The Kastim means the scorpions or the kajdom in Sanskrit or in Persian, as well as what we have it in Hebrew. And so those people are, I forgot the English pronunciation of kajdim, but these people are, we call them scorpions. Kajdim. And so which goes to the Mount Seir or Mount Sa'ar or hellfire. Look up for 52, 24 and 57, Surah 54, 24 and 47, or Sa'ar Sharaim, Sa'ar, hairy scapegoats of Rama rabbis. They have Sa'ir or rabbis, scabies, rabbis of mad dogs. Then Israeli warriors would spoil their tents and take their mushrooms, and then take that for the remembrance of God, and God detox the mushrooms for them and clear it for them. And they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sadameh, damage field of the Sadameh, the pots or the damaged pots, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped and told Abraham the Hebrew, the Abur, which means the traverser or crosser to the other side of Isahi Ismus, or Bismillahi boulder barrier, barzakh or dam of the floodgate that came upon the Shiba's or Sita's tribe, and overflooded Satya Luka and the rest of the loser Lukas of those orangutans that are actually owners of the white dark house of the Satan. Now, this lingual naming is reason because for he dwelt in the love-light side of Malakuti, a membrane Makon, Qarar Makin, were tall tree and jihadi giants like Imam Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam, peace and salam of Allah be upon him. Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ram or Ayl or Yal, or the giant, hero, gallant, valiant, mighty man, paradisiac post of Genesis 22:13. We will talk about it in detail, but the ram that was sacrificed, the Fadiyatul Azim, instead of Isaac, that ram that was stuck in a network or shabake of hypocrites, maggoty Muslims, that ram is Hussein ibn Ali that Abraham took and offered it in lieu of Isaac. And so that valley, that Malakuti membrane, were tall and three and jihadi giants, like that Daniel 8:4, like Abraham or the ram, are righteously standing at Isahi presence of Allah Judge, i.e. at the painful plain of Judgment Day door, or Mamari crossing. And so we read, for he dwelt, who? Abraham, the Hebrew, the traverser, who dwelt in plain of Mamar. That's the meaning of the plain of crossing, what? Crossing the Mamar or Oburan Mururing, way canal bridge of Chinvat Pretum bridge. And so Chinvat bridge of Zoroastrianism, or crossing to the other side, or Zion Mount, or the Alborz Mount, or As-Sirat in Quranic terminology, Jasr Sirat, or straight, or the double-edged sword tongue or emanation of Christ, that is laid, that bridge between city and bridge is, or chinut pretum, or the aserat, double-edged sword, is placed on the plane of mamar, and so on the place of the crossing. And so you either cross from the white side of that sword tongue, the friendly, if you are a Islam Muslim Christian, an Islamo-Christian ship, or it gets to sharpen and then you fall down into where Pharaoh fall down, and where Barack Obama has already fallen down, as well as his Taoist monsters that write Talmuds. There are the same rats that are coming out of the rabbit hole of the Zionist rabbis of Antichrist. And so Mamar is embarking love look at Messianic moon book of love life, who shine shaloms like Allah his salam sensors behind and above him. Crossing the Messianic Mamar, or the plane, is marar, or mararat, or marrar, or bitter hard for those whose names are not written as believers. And so if they are not written and they are the participants of Mahisha Surah Mardini, they will receive, the Mardini will go upon them. Mardini on you if you are a participant of that, as well as your ancestors. Looking at Messianic Mamar, or shine shaloming salam screen of Allah, is hard for those Buddhic bats, Rama rats, Gagian gurus, and of Sahasrara Suraj that have been putting on night vision goggles and drinking phosphorescent ghee at nightfall of history. Again, because these vampire monsters with open eyes, although they claim that they see, like John 9:41, but they don't see, they are blinds. But anyway, with the night vision goggles that they have, they see some stuff that other people don't see, like me too. I'm coming and actually talking about what the ships don't see, because they have not received the mark of the beast as I had. And so drinking phosphorescent ghee gives them the power, or the phosphorescent luminous Reiki power, gives these power hungry or sex hungry monsters to have extra intelligence. But again, survival of the more intelligent is out of the window for God. God is only there to survive, get the survival of the lovelier, or lovers to take place. God is just interested at the ones that love Allah and Christ. That's it. He's Christ, the covenant carrier, or chariot. But the smarts, they're not gonna survive the criteria that love has placed. And so love lightful manifestation of Messianic Mamar moon will blind, or a'ama, their sharp eyes, because they can see in the dark. By see, I'm not talking about the two eyes, but the third eye, in the Sidim shadow shade valley, because Obama has given them she power. They will fall back into asphalt, qir, qair, or sagar, or sukra, modava, or sukar, shakar, sakar, filth that they were eating. In Kundalini yogas or in their kirtans, they just go back to that. The genie Amorites of Amenahi Efer, and so these are with the Amenahi Efer, who is a hell gatekeeper or commander, Amir, or genie mountain, Jabal Jen, of blessed Ashform or Aphrodite or Efreet. And so this Amorite, the Amorite, it is not the brother, but it is the snake, or Achiman, or it's Ahrimani, like Ahriman, coming from the same root. And so this Amorite, that is a snake, not a brother. A Tanin veil of Genesis 1:21, like a Efreet that was mentioned before. Of Pace River, of Eshkol, or Ashkal, or Eshkal, or Eshkal, or shekels. We will talk about the shekels. Or fillers, or image, past, figure, fingers. He is also brother, not the brother, the snake, or Achi Ahriman, of sullen and grim hellfire, or energy, anar, vociferously screaming, na'araing, screaming, young man, or nar. Nar means male energy. And these were confederate with Abraham. These are the veils of the hell fire. And so they were confederate with Abraham, as well as the birds, just like the Solomon's army that had army of humans, as well as the angelic birds, as well as the genie fishes, or the whales, or the mountains in the Galilee garden. And so these are the Amorites that are confederate with Abraham. And when Abraham, and so they come and said that Abraham's brother is taken. And so when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained human servants, or died and born again, because all of these people have taken the forbidden fruit. And so these are the men that are working. And so again in his own house, by Bismillah, blood of Christ the Karim, love lamb, 318 Hezbollah hearts, 318. We have a 313 somewhere as the companions of Imam Mahdi, that are along with angelic bombers, the bombers on the top, and then the navy fleet from the sea, and then the angelic bombers from the top, and 3 genie mountain submarines went after Israeli evils, or Faliani Ufuli evils, and Krishna Kabbalists, and pursued them onto Dan. These are the garbages of Kedar Lamer, or Dalai Lama, and the rest of the kings of the shadow Siddin Valley. And he divided himself into top air and bottom fire against them. So Kedar, Kadur Lamer of Dalai Lamai darkness, he, Abraham, on the Bernahim back of Christ the Karim cow clock, or the Sultan Mubin, and his servants by Ilalia, or Laylat by night, or nocturnal Narayana, Laylat, or the Galilee, smote and pursued them against them. These them are the fleet of the Dalai Lama, and smote and pursued them, the Vimanas, or the Merkabas, onto seam bubble of gilt glue, or Huba, Huban, or Khabisan, or Haban, or Khuba, or Khab, or miserable mud of meditative mirage, or a sleepy zen zone. That's what the Huba means. Haba, Khob, or Khaba, Khaba, like dreaming, or into the dream, into the garbage dream, or which is on the not the left, but on the nocturnal north of Narakai wilderness, or Shemal, or Shamal. And so we read about the Ashab al-Shamal, and Vama Ashab al-Shamal, and who the hell are they, or the or people of Samael, and so turn their dream into nightmare, or the sometimes we call it as the Shamal, sometimes we call it as the north, or left, or sometimes we call it as Samael, or the Somael, or poison, all inclusiving Shamael, or Shamaling, Shamaniyat, shamanic north wind, Shamat, and water skin puffing sham of Shem Eber, or Shum Eber, which is looking at serpent egg, or dead sea stone, or nirvanic north pole of Samadhi, or Samadhi, which means Samad, or Samud. We have it as th. I haven't written it here, but Samud, look up at 1168 or 69.5. There are the mentioned as the Samadhi people, as the same, or Sam, or Yeksan, summoning Sam, Sama, Saman, Somma in Arabic, Somma plus D, or Didomai, or Dadan, or dedicating, or sight, or given intellect. And so they are all zero gazing, or they are giving, or didomying, or looking at Sama, or the same summoning Sam, or the Dead Sea, because as we read in number 13, they are and the Canaanites were by the shore of the sea, that is the Emrat, or the Dead Sea. And so they ran to under Indranic bottom north of Damashq, or bottom or left of Damashqi plain, or Adamai ground of Dami Adam, where his image is engraved, raised, cut, written, schismed, or shaqat. And so that is where the dam is meshqd, or the dam, or the dummy blood is cut, and good healthy dam stars, or the nuclear dam or blood is denuclearized and cleaned. And he brought back, that's the meaning of Damesh, and he Damascus, and he brought back all the goods and foods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the woman also, and the people, like Mu'azazahi teleportation and alien abduction of Israelites, like because they were the physical people that were going into that metaphysical corridor. And so in the same way, we have the physical goods as well as the metaphysical ones. We will look at an example as to how defeat in a spiritual dimension of dark energy or dark matter will cause the collapse of a material body at surface earth, or mosaic mask realm that I am operating, or we are operating, or you are hearing me or looking at me. Another example of 7 mounts are in Isaiah 11:10. And in that day there shall be one Isahi Sir, Sarvar, Sirius, Kyrios, of Daniel 8:11. Root, sprout, offshoot, or shoresh, or surush in Avesta is what we call it, like the Gabriela. Sender of Surush, Surush of Avesta is the Gabriel of Jibrail of Holy Quran and Torah and Bible. And we also call him as the angel of the 17th day of Zoroastrian months. And so in that day there shall be an Isahi Sarvar Ser, root, sprout, offshoot from Yahovah Salam, or Yah He Who Salam, or Yeshai. Isahi Sarvar from Allah, or Yeshai, or Yessi. The 36 Asura of Holy Quran, or the heart of Holy Quran, that is the root word of Jesus, or Jesus. This YS, Jesus, is coming from Yeshai of 34 or 34:48, or Yessi, or in the Zoroastrian language we call it Izad, or Yazdan, or Yazata, or which means praiseworthy, or Yazata, or who is sitting on Yaspis, or Yaspis, or Yashef. These are all the root are coming from the same root. Yaspis, the holy stone of Yaspis, or Yashef, or Yashm, or in English we call it Jasper stone. Okay, and so also the name of the capital of Zoroastrianism is called Yazd, or Yazd. That is that's the power in the name of Isa, or Isus, is coming from the Yes, or Yes per, or Yazdan Rahman, that is seated at the heart of Isa Masih, or Isus, like Elias, or that is also Elijah. That Yes of Elias is what we have in Elijah, or Eliah. And so Yah and Yes are one. And so that Yah is seated at the heart of Isus, as the name that we call it. That's where the power, Christ gets his power from Yazdan Rahman, the only one God. He shall vertically stand and Amud, as the Amadan Mumaddada, or the pillar of the heaven and hell, that is hanging from Allahi higher yaspis or yashef or yashm in Arabic, Persian, Sanskrit, or yes, or holy glory throne of yes per stone. These are all coming from the same holy stone. And so the root of Yessi or Yasin, also in Zoroastrianism we have the Yasna. Yasna is coming from the same Yasin. And so the root of Yasin, coming from the root of Yasin. He shall vertically stand as a watching wardband or nazar of people and nations. Umum al-ummat, amim ummat. To him shall the Gentiles seek daras, ask healing lecture by his legacy lip of Isaiah 11:4, and by his oral judgment, or honey hair, or oral ray, or hair ray, or a straight bridge of a speaking sword, or Sabbath, Sabbath, Shafahat, speak, Sophia. That's how the Gentiles will seek and ask help from him. And his Mumbuki eschaton saqat, closure, rest, or closing of the book of life that has embarked its passengers, or the mothership UFO of lower Jasper stone, not the higher Jasper stone. The lower Jasper stone is taken from Allahi Yazdan. These are the two pupils that are the only two pupils that are not dark like us. The entire creation gets love light in the hollow of their pupils from the lower Jasper stone, or Yasin, or Yessi stone, that is Christ or Jesus, and then he is getting his love light or heat from the Allahi Yasin. بل ایسا یزاتای حکیم or Quran Hakim from Allah Yazdan or Yahweh Salam. And so, or Anach, or his rest, or closing of and embarking of the ships into the Isahim Daedor disk, where kasra to wahdat, or multiplicity to singular unison of the bride in bosom of husband, Hosanna, husband happens, so that they go into 12 honeymoon, Edeni honeymoons of worshipping Allah. And so his rest, or anach, of embarking pilgrim words shall be as heavy, holy, glorious, bladahi, as a heavy liver, or kabud, or graceful, or gombad kabud, or kabad, or livery, heavy livery, or glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day door that the love Lord shall stretch his ladoni dini mumbuk, or Adon, or Dayani Mumbuk, or Dayani Handa, or Qabzatul Qur'aniyah of Surah 39, verse 67. And so who is the Handa of God? And so in that day he stretched his Handa again the second time after embarking the ships to Azabun Nar, or to Qana, or gain, or Qan, or Qanaat, or gain, gather, this Handa is also known as As-Sarat or Chinut Pretum. We call it in Avesta Chinvat Pretum, or Chinvat, or Chin, or Chane, or Chidan, or Chinut, Chindan, Proto Porte Pol. Proto Porte Pol means bridge or beam beacon, and where the beam beacon is above the valley, and so that is where we call it chin, or the scoopy or spoon shaped chin of the hellhole, and above it is the proto, or the bridge of crossing, double-edged sword of the mouth, or the face, or the eye of Isa, Messiah. And it means picking. China means also picking, or putting in the picking preeminence, and separate, selecting, or hand picking. Anything that is hand picked or selected or being beacon, that is called Chino Protom in Colossians chapter 1:18. We call it also, there are many in book of Yasna, many gathas are also talking about Chimvat Pretum, or As-Sarat bridge, or a beam beacon bridge, or tongue of Messiah, mouth of his lamp. And so in that day Allah shall stretch his Yazdan will stretch his Isahi, or Yasin will stretch Isahi Handa, or Qabzatul Qur'aniyah, the Holy Quranic grip from the ones that are clean, and grab them. The second time, to gain and grab, and or chino, or chidan, or hand picking. That means the chimbat, like what you get and put it in your chins. That means that you are chidan, or chinning, and putting it in your mouth. That is precisely embarking of the book of life. That the remnant of his people and his genie fishes and his fallen servants, like some of the swimming makaras and his Harut and Marut, whose purpose has been selling magic to Taoist thorns of Mitra Surya. And so because the Galilee garden, or the lake of burnt fuel, is going to blaze into, turn into lake of burning fire, lake of burning smoke, or the bottomless pit of smoke, or Kafnos or Japhnos, is going in turn is going to set ablaze. And so this is where the picking of the servants will happen, and only the angels of the hell will remain there to serve the Maliki, master of the hell, and to and prevent the hellions to go out of the hell, or to die, or whatever. Remnant will be gathered from deep to surface earth. this is the second time that the entire Talatos or the Dead Sea will be completely scanned, and anything that is worthy of receiving forgiveness from Allah here, love Lord of mercy, will receive that blessing. And then the resting of the moon book will happen, and then photo album of the eternity is adorned with the beautiful pictures and images of the ones that have standed in front of the camera of the photographer, Allahi photographer. And so the remnant will be gathered from deep to surface, is those that shall be left from mid-air or sky void or sama ad-dunya, we call it, as we will later on read, or the nasal air, nasal air, or a sky void, or the mid-air. We will look at it. The four series of four nasal skies, where the cascade of cremation gets to the surface earth from bottom and top. And so we also call it as shall be left from, we also call it as the Israeli Isra. The 17th Asura is called Isra, the Asura of in which the Surush is very active, the Gabriel angel, or basically Israel means Isra. The 17th surah of Book of Life is named after Israel, and it is comes in English language means soar. The word English word of soar or sair or seer comes from the same thing, or salat or sailing, canal, or godly footstep, and so that is Isra. And then we have the El or Elah, or Ha'el, or DL, or Allah, Ha'al, or Holy, Ha'ali. And so Isra Ha'al, or Holy, or Holy Isra, which means holy soaring to Isahi Ismus, or Barzakh, or the flood dam, or the partition, or the foundation of the heaven, or tree of life. And that is the jasper stony foundation of the heavenly skies, or the ocean. And so this reaching, if you look at Isra and Miraj of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has comprises of two parts: Isra, which means crossing the mid-air, reaching to the hardcover of the Book of Life. And then the second part of the journey is Mi'raj, and that Mi'raj is into the soft pages of the Book of Life, or the angelic wings that are carrying the heavy book, the mothership, the flying mothership UFO of the Muslim and Christians that don't have, that are UFO or Vimana free. They don't know how to fly, they don't know how to do these mumbo jumbo things like the Yugi monsters of Shova or Su or Sayyat or Shiva. And so but the mothership flies better than any other flying chariot and vehicle and horse and whatever garbage is there. And so like Isra means Isra, or journey to the partition, Isahi partition, or hijab of Surah Araf, Arafali, Araf, or the back, or the rooftop of the hell. We will look at it later on. And so this soaring is called Israel, and these are the ones that do abar, or Hebrew, or ubur, or crossing of the Chinut Pretom, of Chinbat Pretom. And so Sufi sailing canal, we also call it as godly footstep. And so the height, this footstep, or the cascade of the chrismation that comes into the surface earth and gives the blessing and chrismation, baptizes, or the lens that the Kauthar, or the Kausar, a spring of Kausar, is dropping ether, or Kausar, or ether upon this surface earth, and washes us from the sins that we are constantly making, and the love, the forgiveful the forgetful love light that comes and washes us, that is coming through the Sama Dunya and then reaches to us. We will look at it, or the lowest of the skies, or the lowest of the heavens that are above the salty sea. And so Isra'ing Sir, Sarvar, soaring, sailing, and so it is also called as Asar or Ashur. And so of Isahi, river of love life, that comes from Genesis in 4 levels, in the series of the 4 levels of Pishon, Jigon, Dejle, and then Forat. All together becomes the 4th, and 4 from each one 2 branches come longitudinally. They're all together longitudinally in series, and so 4 becomes 8, and so 4 plus 8 becomes the 12. That's how we receive the 12. And so Genesis 2 from 10 to 14 is talking about this Isahi river of life, that he is the light of the earth, hell, death, and that's how the life gets to us. Mercy, passion, the real mercy. And so so we can look at the remnant of his people that shall be left from Assyria. And so we have this Assyria where in Isaiah 19 verse 23. And so what Assyria means, we call it Mahish Assyria, or the root word of Suriya, or in English language we call it Assuring. That's the name of the angels that we worship. We love and we say salute or sultani sulte to them, like Gabriela, like we say salam of Allah be upon Gabriela or Michaela. And so Assyrias or Asuras, or the surahs of the book of life, the 114 surahs, that is coming from the root word of Asur or Assyria or Mahishasura. These are the assuring light entities that give love and wash away the darkness of Deva Devi devils, of Diyavus, Ziva, Shiva, Sua, and they bring assuring instead of demolition, that these hazardous garbage are bringing and destroying the earth, as we read in Revelation 11. And so the root word of the Assyria Mahishasura. Mahishasura is coming from the same thing. It's coming from the Ashar or Asar or Ashur or Sur, we call it in Avesta or in Arabic. Sur, Asharat, Asar, Shur, or passion or blessing. Hebrew Strong 833 is the root word of Mahishasura. That means the blessing, the great blessing, or the moon of the blessing, or the Mahish, the Bagare of blessing, or Gavmish, or moose of blessing, or the great moon face of blessing that gives blessing, breathes blessing onto the hellhole or earth where we are now. Alhamdulillah for this blessing, for our Christ King. And so Mahishasura is coming also from our blessing, guiding, tearing, glad, gospeling, canal of Assyria, or Surya, Ashura, or Syria, that we call, or assuring Azar. That Azar is also in Avesta means hot fire. The 8th month of the year is called, or the 9th month of the year is called Azar. Just like what we have in Arabic, in Islamic Arabic calendar, that the 8th month, 9th month is the peak of the heat. We have the Mehraban Azar, and so Azar, and the 9th month is in that calendar is called Ramazan or Ramadan. That means the maximum of the heat. That is where the dates are become completely ready. In the same way, the 9th month is called Azar, which means fire, or Azar, assuring Azar. Zur means force or fire or strength. فَأَزَرَهُ in Asura 48:29 talks about, and so the fruitful tree gives birth to its fruits with the maximum strength and the power, and that means the Azar. And so assuring, Azaring, Assyriaing, or assuring are all coming from the same hot fire, holy heat. And we also have the Asar too, or Athar, or ethereal Kosar, or Athara, that we will talk about it in detail later on. But this ether is related to another root. It is not with Aleph, it is with Ain, and this is also Athar. That goes into the Asura 108. We call it Athar. In a way, the ethereal Athara, or the Cologne, the Christian Cologne, or the Islamic Rozahi Wafda, or Yasminahi Esmella of the Jasper stone. Jasminahi, Jasper, something like that, but the J is not the genuine one, it is Ye, like the Ye of Yazat or Yazish, gets to the earth through that Jasper stone, or Christ the Karimic countenance, carousel disc, the moon that reigns over the night of Genesis 1 verse 16, or Revelation 1 verse 16, or Holy Quran Asura 16 verse 16, Surah Nahl 1 verse 16, where we have the Najms, or the 7 stars, that are guiding for us at the dark night, or the Holy Spirit. We also have the moon. We will later on talk about that in details. And so who crosses between valley of Assyria or Assar or Assir. This is looks close, but the same blessing can turn into Hebrew Strong 631, which means Asir or Assir, or binding, or binded, or the hostages, or the slaves, or the sin-sunk prisoners of Shaktic fire, or the captives of Sheba, Sabis. And so Azza also we have it as the binded ones, or the agitated ones by Shaktic shock, or aggravating salt taste, or hellfire, or Shaktic sexic shock of the Statue of Liberty's fire, the venomous fire. And from Mizraim, or Mazra'e, or we call it Misr in Arabic, Hebrew, Persian, Misr, which means clay cliff, or Sovar. Sovar means image, in the image of God that we have it in Genesis 1. That Sovar means comes from Sur, or Matsat, or Sar, or Sir, or Sovar, Surat, or fashion figures. And so there shall be from Assyria, then for the second time the people of the Mahisha Syria will be completely gathered from the deep to surface earth. Even the Ganesha, or the thought that has repented, the Enki, the Hupu, the Mot, they will all say bye-bye to the Ramarat, or the Mitra Surya, or this Barak Babun Chimpanzee, and the rest of his Yugi gangsters, and then they will go to praying Allah in heaven. And from Patros, or Patar, or withered, dissolved, acid washed higher Egypt, that is navigated by naval, navy, or Naf. These are coming all from the same naval, navy, or Naf, Nav in Persian, Arabic, English, the same thing. Of Canaanite crown chakra. And so they will be gathered. This is the second, and this is the last chance for any entity, human, angel, jinn, that is to be intaken into heaven before the book of life closes. The hardcover eschaton closes, and then the nightmare starts in the most terrifying way for any of us that is left outside. And from Kush, or Kashyap, or Kush, or Kaze, Kuz, case, encasing in English language, or Cosmos in Greek, the bowl. And so we have the Patros, or Fatar, withered, acid washed cone, by the navy, or the Naf of crown chakra clitoris, of Canaanites, Canaanians, or the dried ones, Dharmikdir, Dharmaing, holding, and from Kush, and from Elam, this is where we have the Elam, or the Elaming, Lam mantra, or Lamiaing, or Shivalingaming, or erecting, scientific skyscraper, Shivalingam, Yes Ado, shaft of Shakti, and from Shinar, or Shani-nar, or Shennar, or Sandi Zenar, or Sin nar, or the sonar, sensational scene of tantricking, or sexing, and from bitter fruits, fatly blown water skin of budded medicine, of Buddha medicine, or mantra. We call it Khamat, that we already read about it. And from bitter fruits, or Khamat, or Khamt, of Numbers 13, and also 34:16. And from 7 genie mountains, nodes, or islands, chakras of the Red Sea, or Hell woman, ministerial sea of the Gaia, inside her vagina, is a suitable place for yogi yeast of Mitra Surya to multiply and to gain enough energy to come and pride parade proudly in the streets of Sodom and Egypt, because of the psychedelic shocks that they have received